Hello, in this Lens blog I want to talk about why Boris Johnson is so popular and the lessons that tells us about leadership. On the face of it, you would think that Boris should be in some sort of trouble. There was a whole fiasco around COVID in the initial stages. We've had the wallpaper drama, and this week we've had Dominic Cummings going live with the many failures of the Prime Minister, and also we've had the turbulence around the lockdown, no lockdown in these COVID challenged cities currently. But Teflon-like, Boris Johnson seems to sail through this. His popularity is at an all-time high and far exceeds that of the opposition leader, Keir Starmer. So why is that? Well, I think there's three things that I want to talk about in relationship to this. Firstly, while we like to think that we make our conclusions and assessments of people and leaders on the basis of fact and competence, we are actually much more emotionally driven in our thinking and decision making about leaders. Boris plays to that. He rarely talks about facts. He engages us emotionally and often with very positive, optimistic emotion. And even when he makes mistakes or things go wrong, he dusts himself off and carries on with that kind of positive emotional attitude. There's a second aspect of that, which is kind of authenticity. He makes mistakes. He speaks off the cuff. He then retracts. And actually, while you could say that that leads to issues of trust potentially, it also gives people a sense that they're dealing with somebody who's authentic, who's fallible like them, who makes mistakes, and who, while they may make things up on the spur of the moment, can change course. And there's a kind of sense of authenticity that comes with all that I think is engaging for people. The third and most important point, I think though, is that actually Boris Johnson gives us a story and a narrative. Psychological research says we're most moved by stories than we are by facts and data. We have a story of ourselves. We have a story of ourselves in relationship to the world. And we have a story about what we want our country to be. And Boris essentially plays to a very clear narrative. His narrative is Britain is a fantastic, exceptional country, and unshackled, we can do great things. There's a subtext to that narrative. While as a nation we experience lots and lots of challenges, often through plucky determination and creativity, we can snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Boris Johnson's great hero, Winston Churchill, did exactly that at Dunkirk. Waterloo was an example, and actually the disastrous COVID start that we had, and then the massive success that we've had with the vaccine, perfectly fits that narrative. So Boris Johnson tells us a story through Brexit and through the vaccine that is coherent, that is positive, and that many people want to hear. Now contrast that with a Labour leader. He's a distinguished lawyer. He deals in facts. He often makes very pertinent, sound points. But he doesn't connect with us emotionally. He doesn't tell a narrative. And he doesn't create a sense of positivity about the future that Boris conveys. So those are the lessons for leadership, I think. Think about emotional connection. Think about the authenticity of what you say. And overall, think about the overarching narrative that you're telling. What's the story that you're getting people to sign up to? Because those are the things that ultimately move people and draw them to leaders. Well, thank you for listening, and be really interested to hear your responses to these thoughts on leadership.